here. But if you look at Darul Arqam, that was practically an accelerator. And then there was the finding of the Sahaba, the early Sahaba that were the early co-founders of the religion. Then there was the strategic pivot that was necessary, the hijrah. And then when you're thinking about building a company, everyone always wishes, like, I wish there was a formula, I wish there was a blueprint that I could follow, something that really lays it down, right? And in any business, you go through these phases, right? Initially, you start off with an idea, then you begin to build your product. Then you start to evangelize and gain supporters. You're in the business of talent acquisition now. So you try to find, your early employees and your early users, etc. Then there's necessary pivots that you go through in your business. And then after the pivots, you're trying to, operate at scale. You're trying to build your hub and then expand into your spokes, so to speak. And then, of course, you're trying to build some longer lasting legacy. And ultimately, that blueprint already exists in the deen. And the perfect blueprint is that of the Rasul sallallahu alayhi wa sallam seerah. When we think of the Rasul sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, we love to think of him as a social worker, right? Everyone looks at the seerah as the Rasul was a social worker. He was a person that, cared for the needy and all these things. But we don't often look at the seerah from the lens of the fact that the Rasul was a head of a state. He was an economist. He was a sultan, right? He ran an entire operation, practically a kingdom here. And he was a military general. So there is a political, an economic, and a sociological impact here. But if you look at Darul Arqam, that was practically an accelerator. And then there was the finding of the Sahaba, the early Sahaba that were the early co-founders of the religion. Then there was the strategic pivot that was necessary, the hijrah. And then there was the building of the masjid as the hub, the establishment of a fair and ethical marketplace that could then challenge the existing marketplaces that were rent-seeking and price, gouging and things like that. And so this marketplace existed for everyone, and the long-lasting effects were beneficial most to the Muslims that had established this market, which was placed right next to the masjid. And so then you had the spokes that were built out of that, and then of course the awqaf, that were the legacies that lasted beyond the life of the founders, right? That lasted for generations and generations. So when you're building these startups and your ideas and your brands, you're thinking about this whole strategy that you might be following. Ultimately, to pursue excellence is also to pursue the prophetic model.